So after 3 years, the first sequel to Paranormal Activity came out and it is bigger than ever. And by bigger, I just mean like, a few more cameras. So Paranormal Activity 2 is directed by Todd Williams and was written by Michael R. Perry, Christopher B. Landon, and Tom Pabst. And this movie stars, and I'm gonna get all these names wrong, so just bear with me. Sprague Graydon, Brian Boland, and Molly Ephraim, I think. Oh well. And Paranormal Activity 2 is actually a prequel to the first one, so this one takes place like a couple months before the events of the first, and we get to see like what's happening with Katie's sister this time, her family, and they begin experiencing some activity as well. But then this movie also tries to show us how all of this is connected to just like one big kind of mythos. Now, when it comes to Paranormal Activity, like most people usually talk about how good the first and the third were, and they usually skip over the second, and the second isn't as bad as I think everyone says it is. It pretty much does try to replicate the first movie, and there's some good in that, but it really does get close to being a bad movie in my opinion, but in the end, it's still kind of okay. What I mean by this is like pretty much the entire first half of the movie, or even more, is really, really slow and uninteresting. And yes, the first Paranormal Activity was slow also, but this one is just like, it doesn't build the same kind of tension. I suppose the first movie still had that, that novel feel to it, and so I could tell the director of that movie, Oren Peli, was really, focused on trying to pull off these really simple scares. But here, now that they're dealing with a sequel, they really do try to kind of world build a bit, and so they're kind of focusing also on putting little story elements in. This movie references the first Paranormal Activity quite a few times, and some of the nods are good, and they're pretty subtle, but like a lot of the other times, they're just a bit too much. In my opinion, if you're gonna make references to like an earlier movie, like it's best to do it in moderation. Like you don't have to shove it in our faces that, this is connected to the other one. And as I said in my review for the first Paranormal Activity, I really thought that movie was at its core about, this relationship between these two people and how it wasn't working out. And here they kind of show that same kind of crumbling relationship, but it's just not as strong, I guess because there are more people there. And really, like with the first movie, it kind of felt like the demon was just doing these things, but then the actual falling apart of the relationship was being done by the two people, by Katie and Mika. Here, it does kind of feel like the demon is trying to break them apart, which I didn't feel like that was the case in the first movie, but here, that feels like the case, so it doesn't really feel like their fault that they're falling apart. There really isn't that much to say about this because it pretty much is kind of a carbon copy of the first movie, just not done as well. But what does save this, I think, from a negative rating, in my opinion, are like the last 30 minutes or so of the movie. The last 30 minutes have those like tense moments that I was waiting the entire movie for. Like the last 30 minutes just kind of leave you shaking. It really reminded me of the movie Wreck with the whole night vision thing and the strange creatures in the night and stuff. And the ending of 2 is really, really scary to me. Like it's scarier, it's like more in your face scary than anything that happened in the first Paranormal Activity. So that pretty much really elevated it, really saved it. So yeah, I do appreciate the fact that they're trying to build a universe here, and I do appreciate how it, not like a normal sequel would like go forward in the chronology, instead they're going backwards, and I really like that. However, Paranormal Activity 2 did play it really, really safe, so like, there's really nothing new to see here. However, I did still enjoy it, and I am a fan of the first one, so of course watching the second one was, mandatory to me. So I still think it's a very watchable movie, and definitely something you have to watch if you want to really get into this universe you're trying to build. So yes, that is my review for Paranormal Activity 2. I will be coming out with 3 and 4 pretty soon tomorrow. Hopefully I get to watch the marked ones. So yeah. So Paranormal Activity 2, did you find it scary? Did you not find it scary? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Whatever you thought, please leave a comment and let's have a conversation.